here we go. House Bill 1092. The idea of this sort of comes from the accountability courts. We have a lot of diversion when people go up to be sentenced. If they will agree, the judge thinks they are a candidate, and they will agree to go to some kind of an accountability court. They have them for alcohol. They even have one in Cobb County, which has, can't remember the name of it, but it's when there is violence in the family or there's been trouble in the family. I attended one of these one of the graduations for one of these, and a young man that was graduating said, if he had known how difficult it was, he would not have agreed to go into the program. He would have gone to jail instead. So it's not an easy way out. You know, a couple of years ago, y'all helped me pass a bill about shackling pregnant women because women in our prison systems were having their hands, shackled behind them and their feet shackled, and they were falling and losing their babies. Jail is a terrible place for a pregnant woman. We do have one facility where further along in the pregnancy, they do send our women. I think that they try to get most of them to that. And I don't believe any of you would agree to send your wife, if she was childbearing age, or your daughters or your granddaughters to that facility. Needless to say, it's lacking a lot. So this would be a way that a woman facing prison time, if a judge decided that they were a viable applicant for this program, that they would be able to defer their jail time until 6 weeks after they had delivered their infant. Now, it comes with oversight and having to get prenatal care and to check in and all the controls on it. It's not an easy get out of jail. I mean, because one of the things that we find is a lot of women do not get prenatal care. They don't go anywhere to get it, and they pass it by, and we get low birth weight infants and children with, problems. So they would have to adhere to that. If they don't adhere it, it includes all the rules about, if you break it, you go immediately, to jail and so forth. But basically, that's what the bill does. They experience a loss of the pregnancy. They have to let the sentencing judge know within 72 hours and self-surrender. There are certainly parameters set on this, and it is all up to the judge. And even like the young man, if the woman, for whatever reason, does not want to stay out, then they can say, no, I'd rather go to jail. And I guess if you don't think you can make what they're telling you have to do, like prenatal care, or if there is violence in the home, or they don't think they can feed themselves so that they can choose to go into the jail system. But the judge has the final say over whether a person can participate in this program or not. Okay, I'll be glad to answer questions. Mm-hmm.
Approximately how many women a year would be eligible for this program?
Well, I would like to know, when we had that other bill, we asked that, we get accounting from the sheriffs about how many pregnant women they got. And they asked for that to be taken out of the bill. Terry, do you have any idea how many come? I mean, this is Terry Norris with the Sheriff's Department, Sheriff's Association.
Thank you for the question. We really don't, but I will say this, there is no sheriff in this state that wants to keep a pregnant lady in jail. They do everything they can to get them out. That's not to say that there aren't pregnant ladies in jail. And I think Madam Chair is speaking on the sentencing phase of this. Hopefully, most of these people are not in jails. They are going to prison somewhere, hopefully. Now, that is not always the case because of in the past few years, our criminal justice reform has forced a lot of these inmates in general to serve time in jail.
Right.
But I can assure you, sheriffs are highly interested in moving those ladies out. So to answer the question, I don't know, there's about 33,000 people in county jails right now. So that of course changes, but
It's,
thank you.
any other questions for? I can try to get something from the prison, but when I've tried to get numbers, it's not high, but it's, okay, Representative Schofield, you have got
No,
Schofield.
I'll wait.
So, I mean, like one of the things they do is after they deliver, Pamela, I'm not correct, and they are sent back, or don't they go into an isolation room and in the prison? And can you take off can you come tell, okay. Pamela is an activist that works for pregnant women. And let me ask you this question. Why is that they would place some in isolation? Because is it all we have in the facility of that one hospital where they send them is just lack of adequate rooms? And
There are different reasons. The majority is because of space. When they're brought back to the facility from giving birth, they may not have space. They have to go through diagnostics and different type things. And because of lack of space, a lot of them are placed in solitary. If they still have medical issues going on, rather than just deal with the issues, they're placed in solitary for quote unquote medical observation. So there are a number of different reasons that they're placed in solitary, but all of them, whatever the reason, is not good for the women, pregnant or postpartum.
I think there's, if you're in prison and you've just delivered a baby and that baby is taken away from you and is, and if you are in prison, DFACS acts. One of the advantages of would be that early on, if you're outside, you have time to designate the person that will be keeping the baby and caring for the baby afterwards. And when you're in prison, then it gets DFACS. Right.
So when these women give birth, they have about 2 hours that they're allowed to spend with their baby. And that's based on the officer, what type of staffing they have, what type of time they have to allow these women to visit with their babies. And then they have 24 hours to make a decision about where their baby would go, who would care for their babies. That's really not enough time to make that type of decision. Again, when you're incarcerated, you just gave birth, you're only seeing your baby for a couple of hours, and now you're stuck with, these type of decisions to make. So this bill will allow women to have 6 weeks of bonding time with their babies. They can breastfeed, some family bonding, and also some adequate time to prepare and make arrangements for who cares for that baby. Also, in the event that they don't have care arrangements for their baby and DFACS does step in to take over their babies, these women end up losing their parental rights. So not only are they doing their time being accountable for whatever crime they committed, they also have to sit with the fact of not knowing where their baby is located, if their baby is being properly taken care of, if it's being loved, abused, whatever the case, and then returning home and having to look for their babies and then having to fight to get their babies back, which is not what they're sentenced to do.
And I think that, here again, the aftercare, okay, boys get a little nervous here, but, if nothing else, if the baby's taken away, you can't breastfeed, being able to handle that is extremely painful.
Yes.
for mothers to, as the breast milk comes in and it dries up and I mean, the engorgement and all. Hate to be graphic for you, but apparently that is extremely a painful situation, can lead to infections and having problems that need treatment. So it's just not a good place in a jail. That's not, the best equipped place to take care of these women. Okay, Pamela, hang out. Are there any other questions for Pamela, please? She's done so much work on this issue. Other questions? Okay, I don't see any other questions. What is the will of the committee? Motion to pass. I have a second. Okay, and there's anybody else have anything they want to say? Anybody that wants to testify? Okay, if not, everybody in favor of the passage of House Bill 1092, LC 338948, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone against, say no. Okay, the ayes have it and the bill is passed. And I want to thank you to the gentleman on our committee for looking at this from a woman's perspective and realizing that I think our prison system tries to do the best that they can, but with the staffing problems and the number of people they have, sometimes that is not the best situation possible, and that when women are pregnant, that is not a time for them to be in a less than, at least the marginal situation of the care that we can possibly have in one of our prison systems. So I want to thank you for that. Okay, thank you. Okay, that's it. And I appreciate everybody coming.